and welcome to a new video of mine. My name is SJ and I love history. As so many others, I have watched and loved the series Outlander. And for those of you not familiar with it, it is a television series based on the books of Diana Gabaldon. Diana Gabaldon. And it is set in the 18th century, in 18th century Scotland. Whenever I watch series or movies like that, I am super intrigued by the events that actually took place. So the history behind them. Imagine my excitement when this guy popped up on screen. His name is Charles Edward Stuart, Prince Charles Edward Stuart, also known by his nickname, Bonnie Prince Charlie. He would go down in history as the instigator of the largest but also last Jacobite Uprising. Before I jump into that directly, I guess I have to give you some background information, so buckle up and bear with me. Charles's grandfather was King of Scotland, England and Ireland until he was disposed of during what is called the Glorious Revolution. He was a Roman Catholic monarch and there was a growing group of Protestant nobles in the kingdom, and obviously they did not want to be ruled by a Catholic king, so they arranged for his replacement. He found refuge in Catholic France, but all his attempts to gain his throne back failed. However, the good news is there was still grand support for his claim to the throne. His supporters are commonly referred to as the Jacobites. This term originates from the Latin term Jacobus, which is nothing else than the Latin version of the name James. Jacobite supporters were both Catholic and Protestant. Some rebelled against the Act of the Union, and some just wanted to see a Stuart back on the throne. The current king came from the German branch of the line of succession, and due to his frequent absence from the island, he was actually seen as an alien to the kingdom. In the following years, there were many other Jacobite uprisings, now aiming to install James's son on the throne. All of them failed, and no Stuart would set foot on the island for 20 years. This is until... At the age of 24, he set sail to Scotland, his home that he had never even seen before, and to start the uprising of 45. The uprising was backed by France, because obviously France wanted to see a Catholic monarch back on the throne. So now we have Charles sailing to Scotland, ready to take on the quest to restore his father back on the throne. So I guess it makes sense to tell you the rest of the story on site. See you in Scotland. Welcome to an incredibly hot Scotland. Like, I'm already sunburned. It's like 30 degrees here. I don't think that happens very often. But while we're here, I want to take you back to the date of the 23rd of July, 1746, because that is the day when Charles Edward Stuart first set foot on Scottish soil. He actually landed on an island, it's called Erickson, and it's off the western coast of Scotland. He spent some time persuading the clans up in the Highlands to follow his cause and basically spreading the word that he's now here in Scotland. Right after that, he made his way to Glenfinnan, and this is the spot where I'm standing right here at the moment. And this place is of particular importance because right here, on the hill over there, is where he raised his standard, the Stuart standard, and that was officially the start of the Jacobite Uprising under Bonnie Prince Charles. With the rising of the standard on the 19th of August 1745, Charles Edward Stuart declared his father, James Edward Stuart, King James III and the VIII of Scotland and England. This monument behind me was created 1815 to commemorate all the Highlanders that rallied to join him here in Glenfinnan in the year of 1745. The Jacobites were off to a really good start.
They easily took Edinburgh in September 45, defeated the British forces in Prestonpans, and moved into England. Carlisle surrendered in November, and in the beginning of December the Jacobites reached Derby, a 2 days' walk from London.
However, this is when things went downhill, with one fateful decision. Instead of seizing the opportunity and marching straight into London, London was at a crisis at this point. Bonnie Prince Charles' war council actually persuaded him to wait for the French support.
Bonnie Prince Charles decided to go back to Scotland and wait for the next summer. And this is when the army marched back north. While retreating back to Scotland, the army fought 2 more victorious battles, one in Clifton Moor and one in Falkirk. They finally settled down in Inverness, where they stayed for 2 months. The army was exhausted, supplies were quickly diminishing, and the youngest son of King George, the Duke of Cumberland, was quickly catching up on them. And this is when the army fought their last battle. I'm currently standing in Culloden Moor. This is the place where the Jacobite army, following Prince Charles Edward Stuart, was tragically defeated by the English troops under the command of Duke Cumberland. The battle itself was very brief. It only lasted for about an hour, but the losses on the side of the Jacobites were tragic. Around 2,000 men died here on the 16th of April 1746. The Outlander series was very much taking care that the events that happened here were displayed historically correct. But there are a few things that are important to point out. For one, the battle had to be fought so the Jacobites could actually secure the supply chain that was in Inverness. It was basically their last stronghold in terms of supplies and food. They didn't choose to fight here. It more or less happened here. Also, it's important to note that not only Highlanders gave their lives on this day, Charles also brought over support from France, so there were Scotsmen and Irishmen that were under French order, and there were also Englishmen that were loyal to the Jacobite cause. So it's important not to forget that as well. Well, I gotta say, it is a chilling feeling to stand here in this spot right now. Many see this place as the end of Highland clan culture and Highland clans in general, and they might even be right. After the battle took place, the English government actually passed laws that did not permit wearing and displaying tartans anymore, and the clan colors, for example. Thankfully, this law was overruled at the end of the 18th century, thankfully. But still, it is a very, very important day, a very, very tragic day in Highland history, and you see many people come here and remembering on what happened. In the following days after the battle, many Jacobites were hunted down and executed under the accusation of treason. Many were also deported to British colonies. Bonnie Prince Charles, however, he managed to escape. And what he did after that, I will show you on our next stop on the trip. Damn, that's steep. So right now I am on what is called the Old Military Road. These roads stretch throughout the entire country, and this one in particular was built by General Wade after the uprising of 45. These roads were modeled after the Roman Empire roads, and they served one purpose: to suppress the locals and basically to prevent any other uprising from happening. Pretty neat view, huh? I'll tell you where we are in a second. But first, I promised you some more updates on what actually happened to our Bonnie Prince Charles. So right after his defeat at the Battle of Culloden, he went on a 5 months travel throughout Scotland, trying to evade being captured by Cumberland's forces. There was a £30,000 price on his head for anyone that could deliver him to the British government. However, the interesting fact is that no one that he met on his travels during these 5 months would actually give him up. They still believed in him and his cause, or at least they hated the government as much. So, why are we here? Actually, this is the point in history where the most badass chick in Scottish history comes into play. Her name is Flora MacDonald, and at that point in history, she was 24 years old. At this point, our prince was in an especially inconvenient situation. He had to get out of the mainland very, very quickly. So Flora had a very good idea. She actually put our prince into women's clothes, dressed him up as Betty Burke, that name would go down in history, and together with 3 other men, they sailed over from the mainland to the Isle of Skye. There's a song that commemorates this event, and I'm pretty sure those of you who have seen the series Outlander knows this song, and it is the title song, the Skye Boat Song. It actually talks about a lass being sailed over to Skye, and that lass is our Bonnie Prince. And where they landed, this is where we are right now, in the Bay of Kilbride. The prince spent another 3 months on the island before he departed to France on the 20th of September 1946, which is, come on, right here. So, Charles would never return to Scotland, and he would also never make contact with Flora MacDonald again, even though she went to the Tower for him for a few years. So he died in Italy as a poor, old and bitter man. Well, he was not poor, he died in a palace, but he was at least bitter and angry. Understandable in his situation, I'd say. You can actually visit his grave in Rome today. He's buried there next to his brother and next to his father. And this is it. This is basically the last trace that we can find of Bonnie Prince Charles here in Scotland and that we can follow him on. I have a few more things to say, but I think I'm going to tell you in England. Let's go back to London.
What a story! I think it's easy to see why this story is so often retold in popular culture and why it left such a huge mark in Scottish history and culture. There are many theories about what would have happened if Bonnie Prince Charles won, and many theories go as far as to say that it would have changed the course of the entire world. But I guess I've talked enough for this video. If you would like to add anything, just write me a comment. I'm curious, I'll read all of them and answer. If you would like to read up on anything that I've talked about today, all the links, all the sources, everything is in the description box down below. And yeah, for more content like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.